I think we did try and initially develop some form of a friendship, but it just was not working.
Really?
No, we did not vibe at all. What did you get? Well, I only got a 62. What do you need? What do you need? What trying to do to my friend?
Do you know what it was? Because
but this would happen continuously. I'm fed up.
But I think I'm so grateful for, so I'm jumping for our daughter Max to like have so much exposure because I really didn't have that. Like I didn't have enough building blocks to like even like on a social aspect and even awareness about myself. So like university actually taught me a lot about myself.
Oh my God.
I remember one time the pastor there, Pastor Aaron, he was preaching and he was sort of making a joke about like how some of you like you're living, he was just talking about relationships in terms of like people and sometimes the animosity that people have towards one another. And he said a line like, some of you're living in the same flat with people and you don't even want to share the washing liquid because you're like, what's it called? And I remember him saying, I can't remember all the details of the word, but I remember at a point he was just like pray about it. Like it was just time to like, and everyone was praying about it in the service or praying about their own different things. I prayed, I was like, you know what, Lord, like help. It's actually convicting me now, if I'm honest, because like sometimes I think to myself when we are at loggerheads as husband and wife, I should just pray about it. But like it's like, look, pray about, I felt compelled to pray about the relationship with myself and Riz as friends. And it kind of quite like shortly after just started to fall into place in terms of us being just a lot more, just friendly with one another.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Faith and Forevermore, where we have conversations all about love, marriage and relationships. Today I have another awesome couple, because all my couples are awesome, and I'm really excited to kind of share their story and their journey because it's a beautiful one. So I would like to welcome Sai and Riz.
Hey.
Yay. How are you both doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
right.
Thank you so much for coming and just being part of this journey, because it's very much a journey for me as well, so I feel like every person that comes on and just like joins me on this, I'm like, this isn't us thing now, you in it with me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
we're joining the alumni.
Exactly.
I've said the right word, right?
No, you have. And just like the community of people that have been guests and then sharing with the community that we're building,
That would have been a better way to say.
Like we're in like an actual institution.
Well, marriage is an institution, isn't it? You know what I mean?
They do say that. It's so true. It's so true. So before I start every episode, I lead with a prayer. So I'm just going to pray and then we can get into the conversation. Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much for this time, Lord. I just pray that we have a really great conversation that edifies you and glorifies you. And I just pray that you be our mouthpiece and just allow us to just have a great time as we talk. And I pray that everything that we share today blesses the ears and the lives of those that listen to it. We commit this to you and ask that you hear this prayer. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
So I was fortunate enough to kind of watch your story, and I really loved how you articulated it and just shared, and for me it was so profound. So I would just love for you guys to I just want us to have a chat about your journey, what that has looked like, and I guess we can go from how you met, where it all started from,
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you feel like you both have different sides?
I think it's the same.
Yeah, it's funny, we haven't told this story for a long time. It's like just kind of the stages of life as you move on. Now we're in that parent stage and our stories have been associated with that for a while. I remember like often for quite a long while telling the story about how our daughter was actually born. But now, it's interesting to just like kind of go whoop,
Right.
rewind and go back to our origin story. As
And just a side
couple.
note, just to my viewers, Dad daughter's my best friend. She's like my 3-year-old bestie. Do you know what I mean? The most cutest girl.
Thank you.
Literally, like when I first met her, I was just like, who is this gorgeous baby? So gorgeous, honestly. She is a testament to both of you.
I appreciate
She's
it.
also a character as
She
well.
is.
Big time.
She is.
You should have seen the meltdown while we were like before we were
I
coming
can't
here.
even imagine it.
Yeah, no,
I'm not
she's
gonna lie.
big
I
time.
can't imagine it. And even when I saw her with her little friends, I was like, I want to be your guys' age. And hang out. Like, I really wanted to like be 3, watching them all play. And just, it was so cute, honestly. That's so sweet.
Oh, thank you.
So that makes sense that life has revolved around her.
Yeah,
'Cause
definitely.
one, she's cute, but also when you become a parent, it's not about you anymore.
Of course,
It
of
is
course.
not about you.
Of course.
So yeah, it'd be good to go from the beginning,
Yeah.
how you met, what that looked like.
Should we
And actually, I just want to ask, how long have you been together and how long have you been married before you go into the story?
16 years together, 15 or 16 years.
Wow.
Wait,
Yeah.
2000
I don't count anymore.
and 9. So
Okay.
yeah, 16 years. Yeah,
Okay.
16 years in November.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I
and
think
then,
5 years married.
yeah, 6 years married in
Oh,
October.
6.
In October.
In October. Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, a long time.
yeah, but
Such a long time.
yeah, so
It feels weird actually being asked that question because I feel so far removed from that.
Yeah.
Just a different phase of life that
Of
we're in.
course.
yeah. Now we're probably officially at a point of doing more time of life with each other than
Than
without
apart.
each other. Without each other.
Yeah, for 6. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
not really, not yet.
almost. Yeah, we're
Almost.
almost
Like
there,
halfway, you're at the halfway.
Yeah, we're gonna give our age away now.
I know, well, I mean, you lot are little babies compared to me, so kind of. Kind of, it's a couple of years younger, so you're not
Well,
you're not.
me, but well, let me shut up.
You guys are still young. I mean, we all are still young, actually.
exactly.
Why are we out here trying to act like we're actual, like,
young.
old people? We're all young.
Yeah.
Okay, so 16 years together,
Yeah.
almost 6 years married.
Yeah.
Let's go. How did it start?
Ladies first, or do you want me to?
Oh, I haven't discussed. We haven't talked about this in ages.
Yeah.
University. We
Okay.
studied architecture.
Both of you? Did you both study architecture?
Yeah.
Oh,
We studied
I
the
thought
same
just-
course.
No, right. Yeah, I thought it was just you actually. So.
No, I'm a qualified architect,
Oh,
but
I just did my part 1.
yeah.
I didn't
Okay.
want to qualify.
Okay.
So
Like,
yeah, it was
this
just
is long.
yeah, it was literally just to get the qualification,
Yeah.
but never to actually qualify.
Okay.
And then so yeah,
Yeah. So not to make it too much about architecture,
Yeah.
but architecture is broken up in to become a qualified architect. It requires like 3 parts.
Oh.
And one's first bit is part 1, which is where we met, and that's what we
So
did.
is that the whole degree, the part 1?
That's the undergraduate degree,
Oh.
and then you do a master's, which is your part 2, or postgraduate diploma, and then you do another bit, which is your part 3, and then that's the that final bit, and then after that you're fully qualified architect.
Wow.
So
It's kind
yeah.
of like doctors and in that
Everyone
way.
says that, yeah.
I mean,
it's a
to be
long
fair,
time.
you are a Ghana boy, so it makes sense. Architect, doctor, lawyer, engineer.
accountant.
Your mum must be happy.
You know what? She wasn't that like she was because she knew that the journey,
Yeah,
like
of
all of
course.
that journey. So yeah, I think that was a big part. But
Yeah.
which we'll come into later. But we now run our own business together, so I don't
Yeah.
practice in the traditional
Okay,
way
right.
anymore, sort of thing. So yeah, that kind of now
Ties in.
Ties into what
do you
we
want to
do.
share what your business is?
Oh, property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It ties in.
Amazing.
We both do it full time.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But the origin story to that is
Sorry, how long is it? How long's the entire studying then?
Isn't
of
it 8
architecture?
years?
takes a minimum of 7 years to become a fully qualified architect. It took me about 12.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like you can choose to continue like working for quite a long while
Oh,
In
okay.
between.
in between. So yeah, like where, for instance, you do 3-year undergraduate, then you work for a year typically, then the 2 years postgraduate, then you work for a year, and
Okay.
then while you're working that year, like you start applying for the last bit,
Okay.
part 3, and then you do that simultaneously while working.
Got it.
So yeah, but I like did 2 years of working after
Okay.
my undergraduate, and then like 2 or 3 years working after my postgraduate before I was like, okay, I'm ready to apply for the last bit.
Right.
So yeah, that
Got
was
it.
And
That's
then,
amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I was like, after I qualified, I was like, I'm done with this.
But I mean,
It's a
it's
long
so
time.
interesting how you've gone into a business that comes in super handy with both your experiences in architecture.
100%. Do you know what?
We didn't think it would go that way.
No, we didn't,
Like,
because
I've always loved property.
yeah,
Oh,
I've
really?
always loved it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, how do we actually I mean, it's a long story short, but
Yeah.
it's like, how do we actually monetize on this? Like, how can we leave our 9 to 5s? And it was like, and it just started from there, really. And then
Wow.
when
Yeah.
we had Max, I'm jumping a bit.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, what's the game plan during my mat leave?
Okay.
I don't want to go back to work.
Right.
And so, that's
You've
when things
decided.
started to.
Movement.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear how it. I even me, I'm jumping ahead.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, okay. So let's go back.
But
to
just
the
quickly,
beginning.
even on
go
that, what's quite funny is someone always comes to mind. Obviously, we go to church with each other, so you discover that. But someone like who used to be a prominent figure at our church, they both her and her husband were the youth leaders of our church.
Okay.
I remember one time when we were like, oh yeah, we made an architecture school, because that was an early part of our story. So she's like, oh, and yeah, so I'm training to be an architect at that time, and Riz is an interior. And it was like, oh my gosh, wow, you two are gonna be like a power couple sort of thing. And we were just like, yeah, all right. But then it's like weird now to like in hindsight just be like, oh, okay. Like now we do actually work together now. So yeah, it took a long time to get there.
To realise.
Yeah, now we actually do. So yeah, it's quite profound. It's just that really stuck in my head when Anushka, she was like a really prominent figure.
Yeah.
And she said that like years ago.
It's interesting though, because again, with the couples that I've interviewed, I want to say there's a good handful of them who like have come together, like their marriage has kind of brought them together to do something really purposeful or like, you know, aligned with work or business or something. It's actually very, very fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, yeah, to hear that somebody said that to you guys, seeing it before you guys got to that point is also very profound.
No, 100%.
I think we never just paid attention to it. Someone said it, it was like, okay. Like, it just goes
penny
over
drops.
you.
Like,
But then later on, as the years goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'm excited to hear more about how it all came about. But yeah, maybe we should do it in order.
Of course, yeah. So how did we get?
Well,
So
to
you
be
met
fair,
them.
I just remember my granddad, when he was alive, was took me up to Canterbury, which is where we studied.
Okay.
And there was these stairs, like these flights of stairs. I don't think there was a lift then.
No, they weren't.
And then I was going up these flights of stairs, and then I see this guy, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then, then later realised as we were going up the stairs, we're going to the same flat.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So there was like, it was a block, and he had flats in each block. And so our flat was a 3-bedroom. And then, we were staying in together. So we were in the same flat. So, and then, that's by some reason they decided to put us in the same flat.
That is so funny.
Well, it was us two, and then
There was another girl.
like,
She came later,
Yeah.
or she was. I can't remember if she came later.
No.
Yeah, she did.
not that much later. I feel like the two of you were there before I got there.
So she was there, but she came later and she left way early on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was only there for a few months, and so it was literally us in her empty 3-bed, her empty room. So
And is
it
this
was
on
just us.
halls?
Yeah,
Like on
this is
stuff?
on
Yeah.
halls.
Okay.
So we're only I think 20 minutes or something or so from.
I was a long walk from the uni.
Oh,
From
really?
the campus. Yeah, 20 minutes I'm thinking by car.
Okay.
But anyway, it was not so far from the campus, and so everyone that studied everyone that went to that campus ended up staying in, what was the
Those
name?
halls.
Hoffman Court.
Hoffman Court.
Okay.
no, I don't-
That
Yeah.
sounds so like, I don't know, Hoffman Court. It sounds so, can't really, what's that, Harry Potter?
Oh, really?
Doesn't it?
I didn't even think of that, to be fair.
It's giving very Harry Potter.
It definitely was not that vibe. It was
It
kind
was-
of. Yeah, it was just. It was actually. It was a really intimate uni actually, because it was quite a small.
quite a small size.
university,
Okay.
and it was an arts uni,
Okay.
and a lot of they had campuses that were spread all across Kent, and that was quite a small campus, but we're quite close to the University of Kent and Canterbury Christ as well.
Okay.
And so, you know, we formed friendships, and there we actually went to a church that was in, again, skipping ahead, but we went to a church that was in the University of Kent's campus.
Okay.
So it's funny, despite, there was a kind of different experience of like, you had two facets of the Canterbury experience. There was that intimate, like, art uni, like, we're only like this little small island in the middle of Canterbury, and then there's obviously the University of Kent and the rest of Canterbury as a city, which we kind of could indulge in. But yeah, generally it was, going back to our story, so yeah, funny, her version of events of that initial interaction.
Did you see her?
Yes, of course, because I was like, who's, I remember I was wearing some red hoodie. I came with my mum at that point. I had a proper little afro as well. And I was like, oh, again, same thing. Kept on going up these stairs. And then this one Asian girl was just still following back in there. And I think I went to drop my stuff first, and then came back later on at the end of that weekend with like my family.
Okay.
And so when I came, you know, officially, I just remember us like trying to like I was just trying to settle and things along those lines of make food, and there was like an awkwardness, I guess. I guess it was awkward just because we were like just two really young.
It was a new space. Like, you left London, I left. So annoying. Whenever I say Slough, you just take the piss out of it. But anyway.
No, I don't.
And so we're out in not the sticks, but it was so far away.
Of course.
Like, it was the first time I was away anyway. So we ended up being placed in the same place, in the same flat. And then we ended up doing the same course, and all our friends were the same circle of friends, pretty much. And so, and as I said, like, it was such a small university. Like, I felt like the whole area of Canterbury was so small anyway. And so we were inevitably going to always see each other.
And I guess also, like, you guys are so young at that age.
Yeah, I was 18. She was 20 and 21.
20.
So you're so young. That is one of your first experiences of moving out. Then with a complete stranger, and then with the opposite sex. It's all a lot.
And we had to share the same bathroom.
Did you?
Yeah. That was really annoying.
Wake me up, please.
Oh, no. We never had like an ensuite and just shared kitchen.
Yeah,
unfortunately, we didn't have that.
That's interesting. Oh no, actually, I guess some people do share bathrooms.
Yeah.
So if you've come from home with your family and your siblings, like your nuclear family, to sharing whatever space, which is you're used to then go into a space actually you sharing everything, even the bathroom. So we had to get used to each other. Because there's like intimate spaces as well.
100%.
Like, because you're using the same shower and stuff like that. So we had to get used to those kind of stuff, to be fair.
That is so interesting. So I guess already your emotions are probably all over the place, thinking this is far away from home, first experience living away, all of those things, and then to think who you're going to live with, and then I could only imagine that your brains are like doing the most. You know? And even at this time, none of your lot's frontal cortex is developed as well.
So you're getting deep with it.
You're not even a fully functioning human being, technically. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of process. So how was that living together then? You're like, well.
It was interesting to say the least. Because like, again,
it was our first experience as well.
And for me, at least you had siblings, like you come from quite a large family, so you have brothers. I don't have any sisters.
Are you an only child?
No.
Oh,
you're
like, no, it's not quite
that. It's just me and my brother.
Oh, okay.
Or was me and my brother. And so, you know, I'd never experienced living with another female as well. And so, who, like, especially as like your contemporary.
Right.
So I think that was sort of strange in terms of some of like the kind of etiquette. And I think we did try and initially develop some form of a friendship, but it just was not working.
Really?
No, we did not vibe at all. Like,
I find that so profound that you met at uni, you lived together, You did not vibe.
Not at all.
20 years down, no, 16 years down.
16, yeah.
You live together and are married with a child. I'm so sorry. God has got me sometimes because that is so profound.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
And do you have sisters as well? Or just, okay, so you've got brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Okay. So why did you not get along?
Do you know what? We just grew. Like it was how do I sum it up?
Oh, I can say why I didn't get along.
I was just a different person. Like, you know, like I didn't see much, how do I say it? I wasn't very world.
Okay, so you weren't like exposed to much things.
We literally lived in a bubble. Like I came from Slough. I literally never left the UK. Never even really left Slough. Like in this bubble, like very Asian, Muslim town.
Yeah.
And so I made the decision that I wanted to actually. The reason I also wanted to go to Canterbury is because I just wanted to have a new environment. Like with a mix of people, not like what I'm used to. So I put myself in an environment where I was so far removed from what I was so used to and the people that I was around. And so, I suppose I was just understanding the environment. And actually back then, like I was 20 when I started uni, but actually I just felt like I'd put myself in the absolute deep end, but I was so open to the experience. And I think the person that I was then, I would be annoyed with them. Yeah. But that's not their fault. Like they were literally like, unfortunately, I didn't grow up in London with so much diversity, so much exposure, so much cultural stuff to learn. Right. Like I just literally came from this bubble and like had to transform into a butterfly. Yeah. And so it's
a big culture shock. Essentially.
It wasn't even the culture shock. It was like so much layers to it. So I don't want to go too much in the detail, but like, I would. Going back to that, I would be annoyed with the person that I was. But I grew and I changed and like the first year of starting Canterbury University, I ended up doing a 3-month charity work. I ended up actually going to Ghana, funny enough. No. Like my first option, I think it was Tanzania, but that got rejected and they gave me Ghana, and I was like, okay, fine. So I ended up going Ghana for 3 months. So I think kudos to me actually looking back, because I took myself to Canterbury. Yeah. And then I ended up going to Ghana for 3 months. Or so.
And how far into your
So I started university in September and I went to Ghana in summer.
Oh, okay, wow.
In the summer,
the following year?
No.
The same year?
Yes, the following year.
Same
the
school
same
year.
school.
Same school year, So, I mean, I've very much evolved.
Of course. And you said you hadn't travelled as well, really?
No.
So was that your first experience outside of the UK?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're doing the most, actually.
I think I'd done stuff that, unfortunately, I just didn't have that exposure.
Yeah. But I mean, and again, unfortunately, or just it's part of life sometimes. But your willingness to know that there's more to life than this bubble that I live in is a testament to you to know. Like some people would just stay in that space.
No, I couldn't be stuck in it. Yeah. Because I used to live in Slough back when my parents I was brought up. So on the weekends I'd try to like go to London like by myself and like go to galleries and whatever. Yeah. Like especially during my college years. And it was like I just wanted more. Like all my friends wouldn't be able to do it, so I just go do it by myself. Yeah. So. Yeah, I was understanding there was other stuff outside. So
that's so amazing. So your other flatmate, where was she from?
She was Chinese.
Okay.
So like,
did you guys get along with her?
So this is what's quite funny. Actually, initially I got on more so with her. Okay. Just like friendship wise than I did like with Riz.
Okay.
But she barely even talked.
Yeah, maybe.
The only reason, I'm so sorry.
We were not dating there.
She cooked good food, and he got freebies. So of course he liked her. Yeah, of course he did.
She's like, was there substance to it? No, but it worked.
What's those?
She was there for a couple of months. She rocked up and then left before we knew it.
Really?
So yeah.
Was she an international student?
Yes.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. She literally got the Uber every day. She's like, Mum said, don't walk to university. She'd arrive when we arrived, but she got there in an Uber and we thought.
I love that for her.
Yeah, so do I.
That is like some next level.
She was actually goals,
But the thing is, what I love is that we all come from different environments. Do you know what I mean? And they do shape those like first independent moments.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just interesting how, our upbringing and our environments shape how we then enter into the world independently, you know, and then figure things out for ourselves and then build our own narrative of what we want life to look like. And start building our life by design a bit instead of by default. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%.
You know.
Being intentional about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay, so you guys didn't like each other very much.
Yeah, I don't think we really got to even explore that.
What, as to why?
As in,
Okay, what you didn't explore
I think
why?
Riz tried to be like,
You stay over there.
Okay,
So then how did you become friends then?
No, okay. So I would say what didn't make me really enjoy Riz's company initially. So I would often find Riz quite patronizing.
Okay.
Yeah, or whether, and I don't know whether it was naivety or so, but I would like find, and I guess to some extent it was because as she's already framed, like her worldview was quite limited
Very
from
limited, yeah.
what she knew and the experiences that she had. Whereas I'm this kid coming from London who's immersed in culture and so on and so forth, and and not all that it is.
Yeah.
And I think so. I guess maybe to highlight a real example of this.
Yeah.
When we would get our grades back from like, I always say this. When we would get our grades back,
I will bring this up.
when we would get our grades back, from like a module or something along those lines, and like, I don't know, I didn't initially get like that great grades or so. So let's say like I got a 55, which would be on that particular project, and then that's like equivalent of a 2-2 on that project.
Okay.
And Riz would get like a 62 or something along those lines, which will be the equivalent of like a 2-1 on that project.
Yeah.
She'll say to me, "Oh, that's really good. That's really good."
That was bloody annoying.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed
and then I was like, "Oh, what did you get?" "Well, I only got a 62. Oh, what you mean, man?
I was a completely different
What do you
person.
mean? What are you trying to do to my friend?
Do you know what it was? Because
But this would happen continuously. And I was like, no, I'm fed up
But I
with this
think
person,
I'm so grateful for I'm jumping for our daughter Max to like have so much exposure because I really didn't have that. Like I didn't have enough building blocks to like even like on a social aspect and even awareness about myself. So like university actually taught me a lot about myself.
Oh my God,
and I didn't have that. Like when you're used to the people like being in an environment that do like pretty much robotic, having the same mindset and behaving the same way, looking the same way, dressing the same way, then of course I was only going to be one way. So I literally grew.
Yeah.
And by the time I went to Ghana and came back, I was completely different. So,
imagine.
it was really annoying because, like me, I'd be like, "What the hell? Like you pissed me off." Excuse my French. But back then, I had no idea. I didn't know. It sounds stupid, but I was so naive of my behaviour that when I look back, I thought, "Oh, that's so annoying."
Do you know what? I always say that they should teach self-awareness at school.
100%.
Because
Big time.
self-awareness is something that we all learn and figure out later on in life, and it shouldn't be that way.
No,
like I think if we are more aware of things at a younger age, I think our life would all look different for the better. Do you know what I mean? So you're not alone in that. Like we've all had our moments. Like everybody has got a journey. But it's just interesting to see that was like the gripe for you. That it was like, you know.
That's one I can probably remember, but there was stuff that I did as well. I'm not gonna even try and cap, like for instance, like I remember one of the first times she went off to go home from uni.
My mum used to cook me like my
That's okay,
mum
I
used
love
to
it.
cook me like all my nice dishes, like Pakistani dishes that she cooked and slayed us up on the oven, and I used to bring it like in containers and put them all inside like
Ready
to
to show.
have. To eat, and so I
and
left.
it's given like it's so funny how similar cultures are because my brother when he was at uni, and I'm sure your mum do it,
My mum
will
used to
make
cook stews, all of
listen
that. Rice,
for you to freeze it even, unfreeze it, warm it up. So I trust me, I get it.
It saved a lot of money, if I'm honest, back then.
course.
But so one moment I'd gone to Slough like a normal time, but I must have forgotten something, so I'd come back. But when I'd come back, for some reason I needed to go into the kitchen. I can't remember why. And so I had food that my mum cooked me, but when I came back, I'm like, why is all my food, why is all my Tupperware like all open, all my food out there? Like he was gonna have a 5-star dining experience. Like it was brown rice, yellow rice, which was beautiful. Oh. And then it was like the stews. I'm like, my God, he's literally like dining out my food. Like all he had to do was like, dude, like, do you mind?
Yeah, exactly.
But he had to be so scatty and just like.
He said,
that word.
This house, we're all eating. If food's brought here, everyone's having a bit of it.
Yeah, but you have to just ask me. So that was cheeky. That was cheeky.
But you know what? That's also giving a boy. Like it's such a boy thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Like not ask. We've a family of 5. My brother's the youngest. Yeah. If there's any food, it's like the entitlement for the food that he goes to get, and it's just like, sir, hello.
But the thing is I didn't know her like that.
Exactly. That's what makes it 10 times worse.
You know what I mean?
The entitlement.
I can look back in hindsight and be like, yo, that was foul.
That was bad.
So wild. Yeah, it's crazy.
Go through just, but I thought it looked like it was going off. So I was just like, yo.
But now what he's doing, instead of taking accountability, I was actually doing you a favour.
Look,
well, at the time,
even if you were taking it, you were still asked.
I'm going back in hindsight. That was the perspective that I was looking at.
Mate, you saw food, you were hungry, you just wanted to eat.
To be fair, I was eyeing it up for a minute. I was like, as soon as she's gone.
Why would I say to you?
We weren't friends. Why are we going on like we were friends? We weren't friends.
But you know, that's why that's more of a liberty. It's like that if you're not even friends.
And munching my food.
I'm gonna go and actually
like
not even just. You know, the thing is, somebody might even do it so discreetly so you can't tell that it's been eaten.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, he didn't want to.
Let me lay it all out so I can take a bit of this, take a bit of that, take it. That's so like brave. I love that for you. It's so brazen. Okay, so that builds a bit of a picture as to like the annoyances of each other that you had. You know?
We had habits that, it was because we were living pretty much for the first time together. Right. Also the first time of living away from home. There was so much that we had habits and stuff, and so bringing it together was like, what do you call those? That we were repelling. Thinking of magnets. Oh. And so yeah.
So how did you become friends then?
Interesting.
I actually can't even remember.
This is, I can. So there came a point where it's just like, we sort of had enough. I feel like there was a point where we actually had like a bit of a bust up. Okay. And then it was like, no, we're just not going to talk. We're not going to really communicate with one another and etc. And the funny thing is, there's a lot of our shared peers kind of got on like, we had a shared group of friends, so we would hang around the same circles all the time.
So it's just to interject. We were on the level that we were on. There was another flat, I think 2 flats above, and that we'd hang out at theirs, both of us. Yeah. Like because we'd go there every evening, or whatever. That used to be the spot we used to go to. So even if we didn't want to talk to each other, we'd always be at the same place, just 2 floors up. With the same people.
But even other, like, you know, one of our neighbouring flats was a close friend of both of us, like separately and individually. We had another friend, funny enough, actually, we just last week or the week before went to their daughter's 2nd birthday party, or him as a friend. Like, you know, that he was a shared friend as well. We just had so many mutual friends, like so many of them are still part of our lives today. That's beautiful. But like, they sort of like just didn't get it. Like, why?
Well, of course, you've got to think about it.
Of course.
They're friends with you guys. Yeah. So they're seeing all the great things about you guys, yet you guys aren't seeing the great things about each other. Even as you were talking, I was just thinking, this is so profound that you guys weren't friends, but you shared the same friendships. And, you know, they always say, show me your friends, I'll show you your character, or birds of a flock. You know, you've got all these different, all these different sayings. So, and actually, I would say, if you was to see you know, maybe 5 of my friends, I think you'd probably gauge like the kind of person I am, or the kind of people that I hang out with, or what have you. I do think your friendships are a bit of a reflection 100%. Of who you are. So I find it really interesting that you didn't get along, but yet you had the same circle of friends who loved you guys both clearly as much as you did them.
It gets worse, if I'm honest, because our external friends from outside, even siblings, external friends from outside of uni, when they would come to visit us, like they'll be like, her sister came and was like, Sai's a really nice guy. Like, That's like,
Literally
you
woke
went
up one
outside with
morning
him.
and they were having crunchy nut, whatever. They're having breakfast
Just
together.
just chatting.
And
Like,
I was
Not
like,
you dining
what?
with the enemy.
yeah, literally. With the
Literally,
ops.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
one of my best friends at the
That was
time,
so funny.
he's like, oh, your friend Riz, man, she's very nice, she's a nice girl. I said, my friend.
Do you want to unfriend me?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on?
So like,
So hilarious.
that's it. Like people, and I'll say like actually something separately that happened is, so I started, as I said, going to a church in University of Kent's campus called New Life. Fantastic church. In fact, sometimes when people from our home church here in London are looking or moving to Canterbury or going to uni in Canterbury, always recommend it as a church because it's a fantastic church. And I remember one time the pastor there, Pastor Aaron, he was preaching and he was sort of making a joke about like how some of you, like you're living, he was just talking about relationships in terms of like people and sometimes the animosity that people have towards one another. And he said a line like, some of you're living in the same flat with people and you don't even want to share the washing liquid because you're like, what's it called? And I remember him saying, I can't remember all the details of the word, but I remember at a point he was just like pray about it. Like it's time to like, and everyone was praying about it in the service or praying about their own different things. I prayed, I was like, you know what, Lord, like help. It's actually convicting me now, if I'm honest, because like sometimes I think to myself when we are at loggerheads as husband and wife, I should just pray about it. But like it's like, oh, look, pray about. I felt compelled to pray about the relationship with myself and Riz as friends, and it kind of quite like shortly after just started to fall into place in terms of us being just a lot more, just friendly with one another, like to the extent that it went. So I think that probably happened around maybe February time.
Okay.
Like by May, like she was coming to my London home, like to visit my family and just as friends, we were like just coming to visit the family and we had just really developed a really solid friendship. By August, we were just really, really good. Just before she went to Ghana for the trip, we were really, really close friends. And it felt like, even to the extent, Riz actually planned alongside my friends here in London and friends in, with the friends we had developed in Canterbury, planned by like a surprise birthday for like my 19th.
Oh, that's
And
so
yeah, like the transition, and to be fair, at the same point, I still didn't really get it. I was like, okay, like we're friends, like, but why are you planning a surprise birthday party for me? Like, but it was just, I guess, at that especially at that time, which is an all-in kind of person. It's like when I'm gonna give you my love, as a like whether as a friend or so, it's like it's all here sort of thing. And so that. It was a real like transition, and I think actually that the neighbour that we had, his name is Asad, a good friend of ours, like he probably was a little bit of a catalyst as well, because we would just like spend time with each other, like maybe staying up, having to all like, I don't know, working on.
Just do all-nighters.
Yeah, all-nighters. But anyway, that's kind of what happened. Our relationship kind of went from 0 to 100 in terms of the friendship space as well. I even quite recently remembered there's someone, I remember the first time Riz ever came to our church, City Gates, with me when it was then actually Ilford Ealing. Like,
wasn't it a cinema back? Oh no.
No, this is even way before. This is like 2000.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's an Ealing church. Yeah,
no, I know it's an Ealing, but I didn't know it was called Ilford Ealing.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
She came, and actually, funny enough, the first day she came to an evening service and saw someone preach. And it was a woman who was preaching, a lady called Josephine, fantastic, amazing woman of God. Yeah. And we recently saw her either like a funeral or wedding. I think, hopefully it was a wedding, but and it was like, oh, the first time you ever came to like Seagate, Ilford Ealing. This was the lady that was preaching, sort of thing. And so it's like, I don't know, we just really developed like a real like close friendship.
Yeah. And what I'm learning on this is that all the marriages start with friendship. There's just a beautiful foundation of friendship. And even to your point, like, I think sometimes when you talk these things through, you forget like all of those really special moments that led you to this,
100%.
you know? Because like there's a world where even in preparation to being boyfriend and girlfriend and like journeying on in life together, had you not said that prayer, only God knows what would have happened, right?
100%.
So I'm glad that you said, oh, it's even convicting me now, because we need that reminder sometimes to be like, we were once friends. How would I treat my friend? Because actually, by way of no like romantic, just like relationship, Riz and a bunch of other people are like, no, we're going to throw him a surprise party.
Yeah.
That's so thoughtful. It's so loving. It's so kind. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's always a reminder to us as human beings, even to just like be reminded of our journeys. You know.
100%.
Yeah.
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 I'm trying to think. No, I think what you said there is like super profound as well in that sense, because it's just like, I think it's easy as well in marriage and in just kind of, especially where we've been together for quite a really long time in that sense, or in the grand scheme of things, it's quite long for people our age.
I think you guys are even like dulling down.
Yeah.
You've spent a decade of
over a
your
decade.
life
Almost 2
together.
now.
Like, so going into the remainder of your life, don't get me wrong, that's still a long time.
Yeah.
But a decade, essentially in your 20s, where actually that is the time you live your best life, and like you guys are building a foundation of relationship. That's like so deep.
Yeah.
I suppose we didn't look at it in that way.
No, I don't think we do sometimes enough, because you get so caught up in the
day to day. But
like,
you navigated some of the most pivotal times of your life together. Like, for me personally, when I've seen like those situations, it is really, really like, it's amazing. And especially I think from the outside looking in, you have consistently done life together.
Yeah.
Like your vital years. Remember, you met at like 17 and 20.
Yeah, we have, because we've done our 30th together.
Yeah.
Those milestones.
Yeah.
So it's really just your teenage years that you didn't navigate together. And even then, part of yours was,
or at least 2 of mine.
Yeah. So that's like, that is like no joke.
Yeah, sometimes it is like, where it's like, I actually, when I hear friends talking about dating or in today's like day and age and things, I'm like, you know, I don't know her life without Riz, like in that sense.
It must be like that, like what do they call it? What's like the Stone Age to you guys? No, seriously.
I remember when people started like, so when I was doing my masters and we went out on a trip to China, and I remember when like guys were talking like that. This was like 2013. I remember guys who I was in like that I was staying with, like in a hotel and stuff like that. They were talking about like Tinder, and I was like what's this? What were you talking about?
Yeah.
And like it was the thing that they were all talking about, and I was like, okay. I was just so lost because it was like, oh, okay. Like obviously it was a new thing there as well, but it was just like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
And the thing is, you know, I understand society and the world has moved on, right?
Yeah.
And people do build relationships from those apps. But I don't know if the statistics, and I've got to research, I doubt it very much, because since being in this relationship game, I've learned a lot more statistically about relationships, marriages, divorces, all these things. And I don't think that the statistics have grown to the point where there's more longevity, or not even longevity, or founded relationships as much as it was through back in the day of like friendships or uni or work.
It's more organically.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like because I think about friends of mine who have developed relationships through online dating, like, and have such beautiful like marriages or friendships.
Yeah, but
like,
how long ago was that?
So
Exactly.
one friend, no, one friend was quite
recent.
long ago. Yeah, like
Yeah,
they're
ages ago,
on their
that's my
second.
point.
Yeah, they're on their second child.
That is my point.
What do you mean?
As in now it's just a swiping activity.
Yeah, but it was a swiping activity then.
I think there was more meaning to it then. People were more intentional.
Maybe.
And now it's become a bit more like superficial,
Yeah.
very like.
But you know what? I think that's just people now. I think it's the world
Yeah.
we live in.
100%.
I don't
Do you know
think
what?
it's
That's a good
down
point.
to
100%.
the app or
Apps,
how
no,
you meet.
I agree.
Because even the app you can meet in a coffee shop. I think it's everywhere.
That's
100%.
true.
I think we're in the internet age.
Yeah.
So no way is better than the other. You just don't know.
That's a good point.
And there's like I think we treat, especially in cities like London, we treat relationships very disposably.
Oh
Like,
my
it's just like,
goodness.
Yeah.
there's another. I remember like listening to Reggie Yates talk about something and saying how it's really hard for him to date like now or find a relationship or form a relationship now is because one, obviously because of his success, and he's a very eligible bachelor.
Yeah, for sure.
But then what happens as well is that if something doesn't work out in his like mind, naturally he just feels like there's just plenty more fish in the sea. But there's plenty more fish in the sea for how long?
Right.
Because
Yeah, you've got
even
a time though, innit?
yeah, even if it's forever, like your forever has a
Expiry
expiry
date.
date.
Yeah, for sure.
But I
You
think
know,
that's an age thing. Like when you come to an age, as much as you can swap or exchange something with something else, like you've come to an age like that does have there's a capping to
Yeah.
that. So that mentality, I can just dish that and get another one. It doesn't work, especially as you get older.
To be fair to him, he was saying
But
that
I
it was
think-
as a negative thing. He was saying that
Yeah.
it's unfortunately he feels a little bit conditioned like that, and he kind of basically wasn't liking it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely.
I was
misquoting,
reading
but
something
yeah.
he was saying recently, and he was talking about like how finding someone with more depth.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, like people not having like meaningful depth to
Yeah,
someone.
100%.
absolutely.
Like that seems to be quite a rare thing. So
Yeah, things are so superficial now, and also
Yeah.
people don't want to resolve. People
No.
don't want to do things that are challenging.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
you have to.
Oh, we've been
Of
through
course
that.
you do.
Hella challenge.
Of course, no, but it's part of life.
100%.
Even with friendships, I'm sure I always say that friendships, you love them. I like friendships are such a blessing because actually, chances are there's going to be more good times than bad with
Yeah.
friends, right?
100%.
But that is, you find out when you truly love that friend, or if that is a real
you go
friend,
through it.
when you go through the challenges, because it
100%.
doesn't even happen that often
Yeah.
in friendship. So when it does, if you can't resolve, that is wild,
100%.
you know?
Are
So-
we really even friends then? Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
you know,
100%.
based on one little bicker or
Yeah.
one little,
100%.
you know. So yeah, I think you're right. I think you made a really perfect point. The world and the way things are, people are a bit more surface level, a bit
Mm-hmm.
superficial. Everything sometimes is a bit of a swiping activity, and people want to put on a facade more time than none,
Mm.
as opposed to kind of like, you know, I guess be a bit more authentic, you know.
Yeah, no, I think, and it's difficult not to get suckered into it yourself. Not in a necessarily like the dating aspect of
Yeah.
it or anything. No, of course not. But in terms of like this sort of microwave activity, even like microwave activity to resolving something in
Right.
like your marriage or
Yeah.
resolving, you know, your own issue or like a parenting kind of. It's just like, I just got to do this, and then this will end up being the result. No, like things take work.
Yeah,
Like,
and
they
time
take-
sometimes,
100%.
and there's a process to these things
Big
as
time,
well, you
big
know.
time. And anything like worth having usually goes through like a process of
Exactly.
cultivating and
100%.
developing. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's definitely been that.
Oh gosh, we can talk about topics like that all day
Yeah.
because I just think it's so layered. But going back, so you guys built what seems like such a lovely friendship,
Yeah.
right? So how did you get together romantically?
Oh, I can't remember that.
No, I can.
How did we?
I think again we just started spending more and more
yeah.
time with one another,
Okay.
and like this bit's quite funny actually. So and it's funny when you tell it, but
What bit was that?
where when you went to Ghana and when you came back from Ghana.
Oh, did you guys?
That's actually
Wait, did you guys miss each other when you went to
The guy that
Ghana?
wanted to eat my mum's food without asking me. I'd gone to Ghana, and the thing is, when I'd gone
You
Ghana,
had gone to Ghana, not me.
I went to Ghana,
Yeah.
and I went with like a mix. I went with people I've never met before. They all signed up to this charity, so
Okay.
we were living together, working together. We were building like schools and whatever,
That's
etc.
amazing.
So while I was out there, his phone wasn't working anymore, and I'm like, oh. So
going
then
on?
he changed his number, but he
Oh.
didn't give me the number, so I had to contact his mum. So his mum gave me his number,
No way.
but he clearly didn't want to give it to me because he didn't want to talk to me.
Whoa.
So I was just like...
But wait, is
That's
that
not
the
even
truth or what you
premises.
felt
What
at
was
the
the
time?
That's not the
premises?
premises of what had the transition. Like, this is what we're
I can't
trying to
No,
remember
but it's
that,
quite
sorry.
interesting though.
Yeah. Okay.
Why didn't you give her a
No,
hand?
no,
Yeah, please.
Yeah, enlighten us.
All right, cool. All right, let me a sec. So before she went around August time. I was also like dating another girl at that time, yeah. And obviously, it was relatively uncomfortable for the girl that is like, wait, hang on, your best friend is basically another girl, like, and they knew each other because I started dating the girl from uni and stuff as well. So they both knew each other.
But was she uncomfortable with it?
I think
Or
she
do you
started
feel
to.
you were
Initially, she was
okay.
like, because she had another male, like, quote unquote, best friend,
Okay.
like, from uni, and it was like, oh. So I think I was sort of at the time, like, I guess.
Conflicted?
I don't know. I think, like, Riz would contact me, like, a lot. And it's like, yo, you're in, like, Ghana, aren't you just enjoying Ghana?
Yeah.
Like, and
Oh,
doing what
while I
you
was
do?
in Ghana.
Yeah.
Oh, I
and
could
so
see.
that's why I was like, and at the time, like, this is the bit you actually didn't really tell. of the
What did I
story.
not tell?
I had a little bit of a glow up, innit?
Oh, I hadn't gone to that bit. I
Yeah,
hadn't
that's
gone
what I'm
to that
saying.
bit. That's
That's
what I was
the
trying to go to. But no, back to like...
So I
You know what?
actually
Hold on,
changed
no.
my phone. Like,
Okay.
it wasn't just like, oh, I didn't want to give her my
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
forgot. Like, and
I
she wasn't there.
think during that whole period, there was so much... I was transforming so much.
Both of us.
And so now I look back and I think I was quite naive to not be more, what's the word, sensitive to the other female. But to me, it was like, oh, he's my friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose looking back, you would handle things with more
Right.
sensitivity.
But did you know about her? Oh, no, you did. Yeah,
she
of course. You
yeah,
said
yeah.
that
she
you
would
met,
come over, they'd spend time. Yeah, of course.
But did you fancy him at this time or not really?
No, I don't
okay.
think I did. I remember one time there was some stuff that she left with Sai and she needed
This
to
is
pick
like,
it up.
I mean, Sai is like, you didn't fancy me at that time, are you sure?
I think yourself and I started, like, you went to Ghana at the end of August. We started fancying each other, like, around July, August.
So while we were in university, as in university months and years, that period I didn't find him attractive. But I remembered the woman that we was with at that time felt uncomfortable when she'd one time come and collected something of hers. So Sai had left and gone back to London. Something of hers was in his flat, so she came and got that, and that felt so awkward. And I was like, okay, she don't like me.
Yeah.
But then I was like, what's the big deal? But
Right.
it was just totally being naive. Like
Yeah.
I was 21 by then.
Yeah.
I was 20 when I went to university. Like, completely naive.
Right.
Like, but anyway, as I said, I'd went to Ghana that summer, and then when I'd come back, Sai was like, yeah, do you want to know me? Like, literally upgraded, new hairdo, new like restyled, like wearing
He
new
says,
clothing, got his MacBook, and I was like, oh hey. So I'd like come back, and I remembered I'd come back when it was still university hours. So I dropped my stuff at that flat, or at the house that I was now with some other people I'm sharing with. And then I'd come to the campus, and it was like literally in the middle of like a session, I think. And I remember being in the studio that we were all in, and everyone's there, all my friends, everyone that I know, and I'd like talking to them, getting like, be like, hey. Obviously it's been like months have passed, and then Sai was just like on the other side of the studio, like doing his thing.
I think that's so unfair. I was probably in the middle of like a tutorial or something along those lines. Huh?
You were literally by yourself in the MacBook.
No.
were?
Anyway.
He'd been going back and forth, so he was obviously doing stuff. But then there's a point you were like literally on your MacBook
And then
in the studio.
We
and
went out the same day, like for like the same evening. Like, it's
okay.
not as if we were like, I didn't just ignore you. Like, let's not do. You've been doing this for you. Like, I did not just ignore you.
Did you?
Like,
It's
we
so
went
funny.
out.
Oh, I thought
I
you
remember
playing this
what I
Mr.
was.
Cool guy.
Yeah, initially I was,
you
but it
did this
wasn't.
cool,
It wasn't.
like, I'm too cool to talk
Do you know
to
what it
you.
was?
I've
It's like,
upgraded. You've gone.
we both had like a
and I remember
proper-
thinking, oh my god, like, when
Wait.
did he upgrade?
No,
I know
wait,
he
wait,
gone
wait.
for 3 months.
Wait. Let me learn. Because we both had a transition. I had started because I had got a job during the summer, and so I'd like, like,
You had
I was
money.
looking after myself. All right, and then Riz. Okay, so let me explain to you like kind of what Riz was like before Ghana and then after. Before Ghana, Riz was like excessive makeup.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't have to.
Do you know what? Even as
don't
we're
like
talking,
makeup.
I'm looking at your skin and I'm like, her skin is amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. I do wear any makeup. I hate it.
So it's just so interesting that
Excessive,
the
like
contrast.
concealer to the oomph
Really?
degree, like
I can't
extra
even imagine.
lashes.
I never wore extra
I
lashes.
thought you did. No.
Never ever.
My fault.
I mean, but look how long her eyelashes are, so I get why
Yeah,
you think
never,
so.
ever.
Maxi,
Yeah.
like our daughter has
Yeah,
literally
she's
the
got
same
such long
eyelashes.
eyelashes, she does.
I used to have a routine, like awful. I would never. I've looked back and think, oh my god, what was I doing? But I used to wear makeup. And
Yeah.
I used to be very like regimented of how I look, and it was a certain look that I'd done. And so when I went to Ghana, it was like it was rainy season, so most of the time it's really hot as well, like during the daytime. But I couldn't wear any makeup because it's hot, and we're
also,
building.
most
We're
of
like
the time, yeah.
we're actually like on site building, like
Right.
so it was like I was really hot all the time, so I'd wore no makeup. So I literally got tanned while I was there because obviously the sun was out. So I didn't wear a whole period. I didn't wear makeup, and then I didn't actually need to wear makeup.
Yeah.
So I'd come back being more laid back.
More natural, like she was wearing like this like checkered shirt and etc. Had another like, she looked like a backpacker, right? and she had this tan, and so like everyone was like, oh my gosh, Riz, oh like is this Riz? Like, oh my god, are you really Riz? So like I was leaving that like we were gonna catch up as friends after.
Yeah,
that is what it was. It wasn't just
Okay.
like, because we went for a walk and talk and everything like right after. It wasn't just like, yeah, I'm over here, I'm looking cool, like I'm not gonna speak to you. No, I think give me some fair due.
Okay,
Is it,
okay.
like, yeah.
He's saying that you had a glow up too. So
Yeah, exactly.
giving you your
In a
flowers.
very
Okay.
different, like 100%. But that sort of happened, and yeah, we just kind of rekindled our like friendship as well, and then it just kept on like developing. We were just spending more and more and more time with one another still, and obviously we didn't live together at this point, so it's like now it was very intentional in terms of the time that we were spending with one another. And I think like we just we could sense a bit more of the chemistry, and not only that, I feel like I don't want to tell this bit.
You don't have to if you don't want
No, in the sense of my glow up, because I don't want it. Naturally it was like, I don't know, I think I was developing a little bit more of a confidence in terms of the opposite sex as well.
Okay.
And so like there was I was getting a little bit more attention, and it felt like at a point you were just like, no, I gotta cut this off in the sense of like, this is my man.
Yeah, okay.
We're cutting this off. All of this up there, like,
Oh my
girls
God,
of attention.
I'm not bloody controlling that. But
No,
I
it
realise
doesn't sound like
actually.
you're controlling. I think it sounds like you recognise that actually I like him. You're going for what you want.
No, it's making me sound like I've marked my territory.
Kind of did.
But I just realised like how our friendship developed, and it because when we were spending time, we'd often go to restaurants and we'd eat and we enjoyed food, and that was a thing that just, and it was only us two. It wasn't like with our other friends, so that's how it just developed more. When you asked me the question, how did it switch from friends to romantic? I had forgotten, but through that, I realised actually that's how it happened. But
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So then, okay, so you got together, and now 16 years later?
Yeah, there's a lot of
16 years
skips.
later.
yeah.
No, totally love skips. But 16 years later, you're married, you've got a beautiful daughter,
Thank you.
and you've got a business.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been running your business for?
Officially, like since 3 years in August, but I guess in the format as it is that we do like full time.
yeah, that's been a year-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Just under a year to be fair. So I left my job in August 2024. But technically I was off for quite a bit period before.
Okay.
And then Sai left
in October.
So I'd left in August to do the business full time, but it was making money, so I knew that I'd be leaving at some point. So yeah, it was a good time for me to leave in August, because it made no sense me earning or working 9 to 5 when we could earn that plus a lot more.
That's so nice.
So it was a non-brainer. So I left August happily, and then Sai joined in October. So you help with the business as well. Well, we both do it, but
This together.
That's so amazing. But what's even more interesting is that in 3 years you started a business, had a child. Because how old's Max? 3?
Max is 3,
Yeah. So all at that same time, like you were doing all these like huge life-changing things. Wow.
Yeah, it's been like there's been some major transitional things that have happened. Like we took to grow our business as well. We've taken some sacrifices and some risks as well to be able
just to like financially set our course in a direction a lot faster. And so
So some of those things come with their like challenges and are developing our marriage as well, like through that process as well. So it's a very interesting season that we're in at the moment, like exciting one as well, and just kind of seeing, I do have to give kind of Riz her flowers even in that regards, because like I had always envisioned myself as the more like quote unquote entrepreneurial one, like just always kind of coming up with sort of, different entrepreneurial exploits and things along those lines. And Riz, I think for a long time just seemed to have been like really comfortable with the 9-to-5 sort of like approach and things. And then I think when we had Max, we were like, I think that just gave her a lot of time to like think. And I think, just to even go back myself as well, like during the pandemic period as well, that gave me a lot of time to think about like, okay, what do I really want to be doing? Like, what do I really want to be doing? And I think as soon as like we had Max in mind, she had that time off as well, like it just really, kind of deepened the sense of like ambition, like to be able to support your child, to be a lot more present for your child as well.
Absolutely, of course.
And I think that was it for her. Like, she kind of started putting the cogs together, putting the puzzle pieces together, and it just kind of. I don't want to just say it just manifests, because no, it didn't. It actually took some work to be able to put the pieces together and kind of let the format that our business is running in kind of go now. But I always thought like, okay, I'll go over the hilltop first and be like, here it is. This is what it was. It was more so Riz. It was just like, okay, like, no, this is it. Like, I think this is and what we can do as to kind of push forward. And it's it's great in terms of what it has enabled for our family as well. Because me, for instance, being able to spend more focused time with like our daughter and to be able to just like kind of pick her up from nursery or take her to nursery without a little, on the day she doesn't go nursery as well, actually we tend to use that as
family time.
Like quite a bit of family time, or alternatively one of us would take her on for the day and the other one would get on with activities for the business or our own.
Do you know what it is? It's like, forget the designer car, the clothes and da-da-da-da. It's like things that are luxury, like being able to like have the choice of picking up Max,
literally,
like go together, like even like go for lunch, like in the middle afternoon during the weekday, which you can't do if you work 9 to 5. So like it's those luxuries that we never had that luxury before, and it might not mean anything to someone else, but the fact that we can do that and have our time, like that's where we're at, and it's great.
I get it.
And I think sometimes I'm so like focus on the next step that I know I don't appreciate what we have done, but I'm so focused on the next step. But when we had Max, I remember like that mat leave I had like I think 9 months or so, and so literally I had so much time. And I think when you're working in a corporate world 9 to 5, you're just slugging your guts, and I was that person that I was going to go up the ladder, up the ranks, and excelling myself and whatever. And it was just like, that was my perspective. But when I had Max, I was like, nah, this ain't making sense anymore. And so I had that time and I was like, listen, there's something out there. I don't have to go work a 9 to 5 and the money's not that great. And there's a cap to it. I'm not going to get how much I want. And also like holidays, like when are we actually going to, even if we earn however we desire, like when do we go on holiday? Like the restriction on how many days we can go, what months we can go. And so I literally, so sad, but I listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad when I gave birth to Max, like during that mat leave, and I'd never read that book before.
Why is it so sad?
Because like my parents never gave me books when I was like younger.
Do you know what?
But like it was so frustrating because I felt like when I read that, I had an epiphany. Like it was a light bulb moment, and I was like, hold on, like the house that we live in is actually a liability. So it just got my brain working. I was like, what? Like, and so I'd read certain other books related to property, because at that point we did actually get our first buy-to-let that year.
Oh, amazing.
But it's like, hold on, how many years does it take to get a buy-to-let and then save up again to get another one? Like, you can't keep waiting 3 years or so, or 3 to 5 years to keep buying property. Like, it's not fast enough, and the return isn't as great enough. And so I'd literally start following people, watching podcasts, like watching YouTubes, reading more books, surrounding where we ended up landing. And so to jump from there to where we at, it was just a lot of like educating ourselves. So literally that's it. Like, and so that whole maternity leave, I just educated myself. But I never would have had that time. And I think when you don't have time to think, then you're just running on autopilot.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when I had that time, a chunk of time to think, like, I literally realised, actually, we can make a really substantial amount of money. Like, I know we can. And it was just, along the way, it was making sense.
Yeah.
And so by the time I'd gone to mat leave, I was still in that mode, I need to get out. Like, I need to get out. I didn't want to go back to work. Like, I was really dreading it.
Yeah.
And so it just continued.
Yeah.
And I think,
I love that. And I think, you know, they always say like secrets are between the pages of books, because not a lot of people do read, even when they have access to it. I know a lot of the books that I started reading actually during lockdown changed my life. I read like Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Man in Babylon, or Rich Man in Babylon. Even there's another book that is called Tuesdays with Maury, which is actually quite a deep book. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I've never read of that one, no.
But it's basically about a man dying and talking about his life.
Oh, wow.
So with somebody else who he taught. And so you read all of these books and they are so profound, and there's so many lessons to learn
100%.
between the pages of them. And I think when there's a life that's outside of your own now, you feel responsible to say,
100%.
what can I do to make my life more intentional, my child's life more
100%.
intentional, and live for the day, live in the moment.
Yeah.
100%.
Because time, as they say, is the commodity you will not get back.
Greatest luxury.
The greatest luxury, you know, and like little Max, she's not going to stay, like every day she's getting older. So every single moment you can spend with her, or, you know, with each other, even in relationships, like tomorrow's not promised for anybody.
Not at all.
So actually we have to be so conscious of our time, the decisions we make. And I love that this is where you guys have landed, because like, you just sound like you're living your life by design instead of by default. And that's what can happen when you're really in that rabbit hole of work, or, you know, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's
and I'm not like, I think, because I feel sometimes Riz is really quick to be like 9 to 5 to get that.
of course.
It works for
wait,
people.
let me just finish. I think it's just a matter of like, it doesn't necessarily, it's not a mold that works for everyone.
100%.
Or kind of, it's, you know, it can be like a
was a good
round
vehicle.
peg in a square hole, or a square peg in a round hole, whatever the saying is, for quite a lot of people. And there is an element of it being a system that doesn't, you know, support everyone in what they're trying to do. And at the same time, kind of the entrepreneur life has a lot of its, so many of its challenges as well,
100%.
and complexities and things along those lines. So, you know, it's just kind of like, how do you sort of make it like kind of work? Because there's been times where it's been really challenging as well. So, you know, I always like to give like the, you know, full perspective, and just kind of like, but there's also a beauty to it in which your time is more so your own and your responsibility. And even though that comes with a weight, let's not try and pretend like it's
100%,
but
100%.
at the same time, it comes with I think for both of us, it comes with a greater level of reward in terms of like, okay, you know, when we've moved, because I think there was so much imposter syndrome for both of us throughout our years of employment, and, you know, going through that journey together, and sometimes just feeling like, oh, I don't know. And it's not a matter of like, we worked for both really top, like, I worked for a lot of top architectural practices, and Riz worked, you know, for 7 years for one of the biggest like kind of companies on the planet, basically.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
But, you know, I think definitely we felt sometimes underappreciated, and, you know, and I guess for a long time was this idea, like, how do we just like make money like our own selves, like without
outside of it.
Outside
Because
of,
it's not just about 9 to 5, it's about having different streams of income. Like, gone are the days where a job was as rewarding, you can stay there in our parents' time, like, and have a great pension at the end of it. And so I see it as like you're just completely disposable. And so jobs are great. Like, I'm not saying like don't do a 9 to 5, but for us, like, especially having Max, especially being a family, like it almost became almost impossible. Like, because it's like you work during the day, then one of us has got to run to pick up Max, I'll do the drop off, and then we've got to open our laptop, then we've got to feed her, and then I've got to open my laptop in the evening. So it's never ending. And the weekends you're just trying to catch up on house stuff or whatever, family stuff. And so it just wasn't working. It just felt like a rut. We'd expired for us, like we just expired that time of working for someone. Like it really come to the very end. And so
maybe let me just put this into perspective specifically. So the night that Maxima was born, all right? Maxima was born at like...
I was having contractions.
Okay.
And basically doing her last bit of like
handover notes.
Yes,
oh, okay.
Like,
because the thing is, I had all the information.
I was taking my maternity leave on the day of giving birth.
Yeah.
Maximising your maternity leave. I get it. Trust me.
I was because I wanted to like activate it as soon as I had Max.
I get
to have
it.
the length of period.
Of course.
But Sai says that it was
it
a very
look
toxic.
healthy,
really?
It was really toxic.
It
like it didn't benefit me in any way, to be honest. Like it was just not healthy for me to continue. But Sai shared that story. But I think, not touching too much, but like jobs now require more than the standard, required more than what they did before, even more than just general KPIs. Like there's so much more they want from you. And so for me, I just didn't have the hours to commit on that level. And so it just came to a natural end. And so the timing was great, to be fair. And I think school doesn't teach you, and I don't feel like my upbringing taught me, but there are other ways to make money. Like you don't have to go down the traditional route. And so when we saw that and we saw other people like doing the things that we wanted to do, we're like, hold on, I want to be doing that, and I want to be free from the golden handcuffs. Like, how do I do it? And so it was just implementing stuff to essentially be the vehicle to sustain us as a family and our future. And so just went like all in. And was consistent, and then that's how we ended up, I suppose, from there to now.
Guys, I love your story. Honestly, I just love hearing your journey and just what just love hearing just how from literally not liking each other very much to just where you're at now. It's just layers of testimonies, and I'm just thankful that you guys came on to share and to talk about it. It's really just great.
I didn't think we even really got it. Like, there's so many
more levels and layers.
Like even our wedding was like such a journey and testimony in itself. And I think just something I just wanted to recommend as well is when we were talking about books, not just kind of self-help books or financial, but there's also there's a really important book that I've been reading or was reading just when I started the kind of journey of leaving the 9 to 5, a book called Practicing the Way. I talk about this book all the time. It's by a fantastic author, Christian author called John Mark Comer. And that is basically about becoming an apprentice of Jesus, an apprentice of Christ, and just kind of how, what that looks like in the sort of the modern day age, and kind of creating, simplifying your life in a certain way to reflect more like what Christ actually kind of lived. And it goes through these it comes towards the end, it concludes and talks about these 9 practices that Jesus himself did, which a lot of us do. When you follow Christ, you're going to do them, but when you're consciously knowing, this is actually reflecting, and this is how my behavior is becoming more Christ-like, like generosity, solace, practicing the Sabbath, you know, fasting, you know, prayer, scripture, like there's loads of things that kind of, or the 9 ones is, if I haven't reeled them all off. But that book, especially at a really crucial time in my life where, you know, again, making this transition from working 9 to 5 into, you know, becoming, you know, developing this new culture for our family. But then at the same time, I lost one of my best friends as well at that time. And that book, you know, where we're just talking about all of these you know, different books, I think it's really important just to kind of,
I'll link it.
But
because me too, I want to buy it.
No, 100%. I know. I think
I'll
I've
link
mentioned it lightly before, but like you know, I remember when one of my best friends, who kind of the entrepreneurial family life, like when he was, you know, talking about when he started reading that. But you know, actually, it was, you know, this was about sort of kind of like challenging behavior and sort of, you know, again, yielding to Christ. And this was a great book that kind of has helped in developing that as well. So even in a, I don't know, 20, 30 odd years something journey with Christ, like still just constantly kind of developing and nurturing and just learning from the word, the scripture itself.
Absolutely.
And also learning from, you know, other great literature that other fantastic Christian authors as well I used to write from. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, I'm so glad you did. Like, I think, literature is so kind of diverse, and there's like loads we can read and learn from, for sure. And I think when a specific piece of literature has impacted your life, you've seen the fruit of that. It's always amazing to kind of recommend. So thank you so much. Yeah.
I was just going to add, you know, when you said, I love how you've designed your life.
Yeah.
But like, you know, through doing this kind of entrepreneurship and building our business, like literally, it might sound simple, but you can actually design your life. And I think
100%.
Going into like being like, never would I thought we would have been like entrepreneurs, especially myself, but like the mindset is so like powerful. Like if you can literally design your life, and if you're consistent and strategic and diligent, like you can actually govern the trajectory that your life goes to. And I just think that there's so much more than the 9 to 5.
I hear that. I think designing your life is what you want it to look like, right? And so we definitely all have the capacity to do that. But actually, it's, as you said, it takes the work, it takes the rewiring, it takes the relearning and learning again. Like, it's a process, and it takes time.
As well.
And sometimes people don't want to sacrifice that, but it can be done. Anyone can do it. We've seen many people do it, so we are not anything, you know, different to what people have accomplished. So 100%. And that could look like anything, 9 to 5 and something else, or you know. So yeah, like my sister, two of my sisters actually, they're in 9 to 5s, but they are actually working in their dream jobs. They love what they do, you know, and it serves them, it pays them extremely well, and they are, they're fantastic. 100%. In fact, all when I think about my siblings, I would say everybody is in a career that they really love. So, you know, and some are doing stuff on the side as well, and are earning multiple streams. And I also know loads of people that are just doing loads of awesome stuff as well, you know.
That's cool.
So yeah, I think I love that we've highlighted the live by design and not by default. My coach actually taught me that saying.
That's cool. I like
Live by design, not by default.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much.
No, you're most welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. We always lead out of prayer, so if one of you can say a quick prayer, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Father Lord, we just thank you for your goodness, your mercy and your grace, that you're awesome, Lord, and that your mercies are new every morning, and that that your love just washes over us. And I thank you for what you're doing through Diane. I thank you for her life. I thank you for her testimony and her journey, and that you have empowered her, oh Lord of God, to use this platform to demonstrate the different journeys and the different testimonies and the ranges of relationships that there are. And Lord, I just pray that in everything, Lord, that you be glorified, that your name is raised and declared high as a banner, and that, Lord, that you are just magnified and glorified above everything else. Lord, not our will, Lord of God, but yours ultimately. And Lord, may our journey be used to bless others. Lord, there's so much more, like, Lord, I know that we didn't speak about, but Lord, may you, your power and your glory just reveal to people just ultimately who you are, even through our journey. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.